Okay, now time for a League Two playoff semi-final first legs recap, sponsored by Sky Bet and the Sky Bet EFL Building Foundations Fund. This is not the top 20. And George, League Two was the place for goals, 4 of the 6 in the 6 playoff semi-final first legs, and it was certainly the place for spectacular goals. One in particular in Grimsby 1, Salford 2. I hope people were watching this from the very first whistle.
I made noises when this went in. Just about got it on. Managed to race home from the park in order to get the game on early. And was it a corner? I think it must have been a corner to Grimsby that was kind of cleared or recycled out, and the ball was headed away, and Rhys Staunton on the edge of the area it's a first-time volley from the edge of the area that goes into the top left-hand corner, kisses off the inside of the post, and the keeper doesn't move. But it's caressed. It's like a proper, using the inside of his left foot, just almost like a cushioned volley.
I just can't think of many goals I've ever seen like that.
But also the best thing about it was because of the way he hit it, and because the keeper didn't move. I think everybody watching on TV just assumed the ball was going to fly high and wide. So when it went in, it was a proper because you have no idea where that ball's going when from the angle you get on the TV. Just a proper, an incredible moment, and an amazing way to start Sunday's playoff, games. But credit to Salford because to go behind in that manner, to be 1-0 down within a minute to that kind of goal, and to be level after 5 minutes, with a Callum Cisse goal after some pretty ropey defending from Grimsby, but a nice finish.
Both Grimsby centre-backs going for the same aerial duel with Dan Udoh and heading it backwards to a Salford player and Kelly Namai, and then backpedaling but being too slow to get back, and Cisse running through and finishing. It was a tough scene from a Grimsby centre-back point of view.
Yeah, for sure. Not a good goal to concede, not a good time to do it. And Salford were good from there, I thought, in the first half. Both teams had some chances. Kabia had a close range chance, 1-1 that just went wide. The second half was, Grimsby making a lot of the running without creating too much. But the moment of the game, kind of the bit we have to focus on, I guess, is the Salford winner that came from Aluo. Kelly Namai did well down the left-hand side. Him and Turi had a little tussle, and Turi kicked it out for a corner. The corner swung in, Aluo heads it, it's deflected and goes in. And on first viewing, you couldn't see much wrong with it. And then suddenly you see the Grimsby Town players and the Grimsby Town bench and David Artell absolutely losing it. And you think, okay, what's happened here? And in the replay, you can see that Haji Minoga is standing in front of Jackson Smith, the Grimsby keeper. And it's funny this, because I think kind of two things can be true. There is no doubt that Minoga is standing between Smith and Olowu when the header is made. So I guess because of that, the goal shouldn't have counted because he's in an offside position. I don't personally think that it's Minoga's presence there that stops Smith from making the save, because from what I can see, Olowu heads it to Smith's left. Smith moves to the left in order to try and make the save. But you can see that because it's the other side of Minoga. And then the deflection comes, which reroutes it back the other way, and it goes in. I don't think he's close. I don't think Minoga's close enough to Smith to stop him from diving or to impair his view. But I also don't know if that necessarily matters. I think if the defender is in the direct eye line between the goalkeeper and the defender, you're probably not analysing whether or not he'd have saved it. He's just in an offside position and he's interfering with play. So I don't think it's quite as scandalous or clear cut as maybe some Town fans do, but I do completely accept that the goal shouldn't have stood.
Yeah. I mean, the law doesn't clear it up that much, I don't think, in terms of whether you should apply the thought of, would the keeper have actually got any closer were he not standing there? Which in this instance, I agree with you, I don't think he would, because of the deflection. Just that's the reason that it completely wrong foots him. But we can't know that, right? And yeah, the law says a player standing in an offside position is in the way of an opponent and interferes with the movement of the opponent towards the ball. That's an offside offence if it impacts on the ability of the opponent to play or challenge for the ball. I genuinely don't know what the right answer there is, but could easily have gone the other way. I actually thought that Minogue was absolutely brilliant.
So good
at right back for Salford. He's an absolute, what a defensive player he is. I thought Oluwo had a very good game as well at centre back. Andy
They
Cook
frustrated Cook, didn't they?
He did, yeah. I don't know what you think about Grimsby and Cook, where this is going to sound like I've got an anti-Cook agenda, but he's so good. He's such a outlet. He's such a focal point. He's such a target man. But to me, Grimsby are now going so much before. Oh God, I can't speak. They are going long into him so much more than they've basically changed their style because they've got Andy Cook up top. And this is a small sample size of one game. They've been brilliant since he joined. One of the best teams in the league. They've scored loads of goals. So the answer is probably it has been a good thing overall. But I can't help but watch them and think, I thought Grimsby might have. I thought they might have a few more dimensions to their attack than this. I do sometimes wonder about when you have a target man like that, and particularly in a game where you're not looking to take any risks. You're gonna shell it into him as much as possible, and I just wonder if sometimes that reduces the team's attacking quality. Even if Cook himself is doing brilliantly, just in terms of strategy, I just find it quite an interesting question. Cissé's been out for a while. Nemai's been out for a while. They both came straight in to start here, and that was pretty significant, obviously combining for the first goal. But it also meant a tactical switch that you basically couldn't have predicted, I don't think, if you're Grimsby, because those two players haven't been available for the last few weeks. So Nemai played on the left, and Cissé played basically in a number 10 role behind Dan Udo. And that meant Ryan Graydon played right wing, and that is very unusual, and it would have been very tough to predict that. And I thought he had a pretty good game, industrious down the right wing, and that was a kind of bit of a tactical surprise from Carl Robinson, I think. Udo had a pretty good game as well. I think he's the sort of player where when he's really up for it, he is just way too much of a handful at this level. I agree with you. I was very impressed with Salford. Pretty unimpressed, if I'm honest, with Grimsby. We gave it pretty good guns about them. And, we weren't lying. They did pick up the most points in the league from Christmas onwards. So they have been a very, very good team for the last few months. But in the second half, didn't love the way they approached trying to get back into the game. Didn't think they did enough. And then, George, there's just that unique aspect of playoff semi-final first legs where a team that's 1-0 down, and I think we've seen this across the 4 games, they don't act in the same way that you would expect them to act because there is still another game. So it is not as final and definitive if you lose by a goal to 0. And therefore there is risk of losing 2-0. Then you might say, good God, that is going to be tough. And I think we've seen that play out a bit. All the teams that have been behind have broadly seemed to go like, okay, not ideal. We're going to try an attack and equalise, but we're not going to dial this up to 10 because, that's too risky.
Yeah, I'd say both League Two games have been interesting because we've basically had the whole second half. We've had the whole second half of both games with the home team behind, and I would agree that and both have dominated. I think I'm right in saying, and sorry for any spoilers for the next game, but I think I'm right in saying that Notts County, well, certainly Salford had one shot in the second half, and Notts County looking now
maybe one.
I
think a blocked shot from Jatta.
So 2 shots total in the second half. But having said that, they defended their box pretty well. They didn't concede loads of chances. So I wonder if it's more a case where both Dave Artell and Paul Cook are probably sitting at home now thinking, like, how were we not a bit better from behind in that second half? Like, at home, behind, opposition not really looking to attack. Got to put more pressure on than both teams did.
Yeah, there's just been a lot of poor execution across all 3 leagues, to be honest, in the final third. And I'm quite happy to put that down to the uniqueness of the match situation, the pressure, sure, and the nerves, but also just the idea that there's no other game that's like a playoff semi-final first leg in terms of the context of the game and the match situation, and even like the uncertainty that it brings. Even like, I'm sure they plan beforehand for all eventualities and all game states and how we're going to act if we're 1 down or 1 up or level. But I still reckon on the pitch, there might be some uncertainty around, like, okay, so we're only one down, but we've got another game. Like, does the gaffer want me to? Yeah, I'm not quite sure. It's such an interesting scenario. You mentioned Chesterfield 0, Notts County 1. This was a very lively start to the game where Notts came out the blocks pretty well. They were finding Jody Jones on the left-hand side quite a lot. Just a few minutes in, and I thought to myself, yeah, that's a strong start from Notts. And then I went next door to get a glass of water, and while I was next door, I heard penalty to Chesterfield, absolute stonewaller, pretty much their first attack of the game. Mandeville getting inside the box, Ness just late, clumsy, clipped him, brought him down, and Lee Bonus steps up, hits the post, base of the post, comes bouncing out. It's a bit like that Tommy Conway chance in the Middlesbrough game. It's almost perfect. It's 2 inches away from hitting the inside of the post and going in. Bounces out, let off for Notts. And they made the most of it because they were really good first half an hour. I think tactically this is a good game for Notts. I think we saw that. Chesterfield have they have no secrets in the way that they play Chesterfield. And in that 4-2-3-1, I think the way that Notts play, which is 3 centre-backs, 2 very wide wing-backs, and then essentially a box in midfield, 2 sitting and 2 advanced, that is designed to give you numerical superiority against a team that's basically playing 2 in midfield, because even Chesterfield's number 10 doesn't really get back behind the ball very much out of possession. And I think we saw that in the first half. Braybrook and Stirk a little bit unsure who to press, who to follow. Certainly the number 10s, Luca and Iopenda, very fluid in their movement, going out wide a lot. Then who goes with the number 10 when they go out wide? Is that a midfielder's job? It's not a centre-back's job. The full-backs are already thinking about the wing-backs. I really think this is a scenario where the very simple tactics of both sides, in my eyes, give Notts a bit of an advantage in quite important parts of the pitch. And yeah, I mean, when the goal came, it was just a huge error from Ryan Stirk, getting on the ball at the back. Don't think he saw Iopenda in his blind spot, and then when he did, his touch was loose. Iopenda got it, gave it to Jatta, back to Iopenda, rolled it across perfectly, the perfect weight on the cross, gave Luca time to sprint into the back post and finish from a tight angle in off the keeper. So really good goal, showed the qualities of Iopenda, who I'm just sort of increasingly obsessed with. This midfield player who can play deep, 6, 8, 10, incredible physicality for this level, long legs, fast, but coordinated, intelligent, good in the press. I really, really like him. He's obviously on loan from Huddersfield, but I would expect there to be championship interest this summer. I don't know what Huddersfield's plans are for him, but he genuinely might leave Huddersfield without basically ever having played for them because of how good this loan's been for him. It was a good assist for Luca, who's on loan from Luton, has been injured for a lot of the season, but has contributed when he's played and did so here with the winning goal. So, yeah, it was a good performance in the first half from Notts to get ahead. As you mentioned, in the second half, they weren't great in attack. They barely had another shot. And I was kind of disappointed in a funny way because, a bit like Millwall at Hull, I sort of felt like in the last 20 minutes, they could have counter-attacked a bit better if they'd been a tiny bit more ambitious. Maybe they were tired, whatever, but the execution wasn't quite there on the break. And the main thing is, as they have done for most of the season, they defended really well. They can be very compact with the back 3, with the 2 sitting midfielders. Robertson came back in and makes a big difference for them. Really quality player, played one pass over the top to Jatta in the first half with the outside of his left foot. Beautiful. And Chesterfield found it pretty tough. You know, Dobra had to come off injured in the first half, which would be very damaging for them. He does a lot of good stuff in that sort of left channel. Markanday had a few bits and bobs in the second half, but no one on the end of any of it really. And it's just quite hard to create big chances against this Notts County team, I think. So Chesterfield will need some moments of brilliance, and they didn't get that today. And that's why they've lost the first leg 1-0. So Notts pouncing on an error, looking sharper out the traps, and saw it out well once they had the lead. Advantage Notts heading into the second leg. What do you reckon ahead of that one? I think, touch wood, need to get full sign-off from Mrs. M, but I think I might be at that one, and I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, it's pretty tasty today, so I'm sure it will be in the reverse too. Yeah, it was, Notts County created very little. They took their chance when it came. Chesterfield will know that had they converted that penalty, it would have been a very different game, and will be so frustrated they weren't able to do it. But having said that, they didn't do enough. It felt like they were maybe a bit rattled after the penalty miss. In the second half, for all of the territory they had, all the possession they had, and I thought Braybrook did some very nice things on the ball, albeit his kind of game with kind of the game taking place in front of him with a bit of time on the ball. It'll be interesting how the reverse looks, because again, Notts County, a ball dominant team who like to keep hold of it, but they're defending a lead from the first whistle at home. So do they play their normal game, or do they approach it like the second half here? And given how well they restricted Chesterfield to very little, and still carried a not a huge threat on the break, but still something. Maybe they'll look to approach it the same way.
Ryan on NTT20 Squad said Martin Patterson looks like the evil boyfriend from a soap opera, and I really liked that. I think that's absolutely spot on. League Two had the most goals of the three leagues, most entertainment, if you like, and set up pretty well. Both away teams heading back home with 1-goal leads. We will be recapping all of these games once they are done, and then big playoff final previews as well. We are not done yet this season. Go well.